Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to your Chelsea news. Enzo Maresca gives a pre-match press conference ahead of our pre-season friendly against Bayern Leverkusen tomorrow. We have some massive injury updates. Datro Fofana is gaining interest from a Premier League club, and Chelsea have initiated talks for Alejandro Garnacho. Not only that, but we are going to be predicting Chelsea's start 11 to face Bayern Leverkusen in tomorrow's pre-season friendly. Now, of course, I'll be giving my own thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported, but more importantly, I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments. And before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 10k before the end of 2025. Kicking things off, Enzo Maresca started the press conference by saying, "We need to be ready in any case. It's important to start again in the way that we finished last season. We need to see how we adapt, but for sure, we need to be ready. I feel very happy about the new signings because those are the ones that we're looking at. For sure, they need time. We will give them time to adapt." Enzo Maresca spoke on Estevao and he said, "For me, the biggest mistake we can do with him is to put him under pressure. He is very young and needs to adapt. He's a fantastic player and he is very young. He's a happy boy." Enzo Maresca then goes to speak on about hato and he says he's much more mature than his age. Even for him, different country, league, tempo, intensity, he needs to adapt for sure. No doubt he will help us. He continues to say, "I can see that the mood is much better in terms of when you finish the season the way we finished. In any case, it's going to give players more energy. As I said, we need to see how we manage these types of situations." The situation is quite clear. They are training. I guess they are waiting for solutions. When they leave, the club texts me or call me. I don't pay attention to the ones that are training and need to leave. I just focus on how we prepare the session and win games. Enzo Maresca was then speaking about the pre-season friendlies and he says, "We're going to try and share minutes with all of them. Some of them, Hato, they start very early, so we will try and share minutes. We'll see if we try different tactical things for the season." Enzo Maresca then speaks more on estevao and he says that he could play everywhere. He is so good. He's like Cole in terms of position. He can play everywhere. He goes on to say, "With him, we need to pay more attention. He's very, very young. Not under pressure. Give him happiness. Give him time. Hopefully we can give him minutes so he is more happy. He's a talented player." Now, I really like what Enzo Maresca is saying here. We know what to kind of expect from Enzo Maresca in his pre-match press conferences or just press conferences in general. I feel like he deals with the situations very well when he's talking about his players, when he's talking about the way we set up, the tactics, the mentality that's at this club. I'm just super excited to be doing these types of videos again where we're talking about the football and we have a game tomorrow to look forward to and just see Chelsea playing football again. I know they've had 3 weeks break, but that 3 weeks has felt like a lifetime. And I know that these players probably felt like it went, in a day's time. It just felt like it flew by. But I like what Enzo Maresca is saying about estevao. He's reassuring what a lot of Chelsea fans have been saying, especially on yesterday's video. He's very talented. He's very young. You want to make him happy. You want to give him time to adapt. And, in these pre-season games, we have two. We had the Club World Cup, which was obviously stitched onto the end of last season, which ate into the players' rest and recovery, which also ate into our pre-season and what we would be doing to prepare for this season, which starts so very soon. So we have 2 games. Now, I feel like Enzo Maresca is completely right in saying that we need to start the season how we finished last. There's not been a lot of time to turn over. Yes, the players have had a little bit of rest, which is going to be great for them in terms of mentally and physically. They've been back in training since the 4th. It's 4 days and a game, and then there's like a little couple days and another game. Then we have our training, probably a couple days break, then training, and then the Premier League starts. It is such a fast turnaround for a club that's just gone out and won the Club World Cup. But hey, the game's the game. This is what it is. So I totally agree with Enzo Maresca and what he's going to try and do in these 2 pre-season games. He may be trying out a couple more tactical differences, which I expect him to do. We know how Enzo Maresca likes to tweak things, and he says he's going to share the minutes. Now, for the people that are going to these pre-season games, they're in for a treat. They're going to see such a variety of players. And at the end of the day, pre-season is a chance for Enzo Maresca to try and experiment with different tactics, experiment with different lineups and different players, and also share the minutes. So it's not that deep or serious in terms of the result. It's about having the players get a good run out, seeing what happens on the pitch tactically, and seeing if we are ready and prepared to go into the new season. I feel like these 2 games are going to be very good for the fans to, just to enjoy. I feel like they're going to have very good atmospheres around it, and I feel like Maresca is going to have a lot of fun with tinkering with the system and with the lineups, especially with the players and rotation of the new players coming in. I feel like estevao will get some minutes, Hato will get some minutes, Jamie Gittins will get some minutes. It'll just be a nice rotation of our current squad as well. I feel like you're going to have just a mixture of players playing in different positions and, seeing how we can set up against Crystal Palace on the first game of the season. Very interested to see how AC Milan take this. Are they taking this? Because, again, we get into the pinnacle of when the season's about to start. So a lot of these teams have been on their pre-season tours. These last couple games, they're the games where they're really like, we need to be season ready. And we've obviously had that Club World Cup, had a little bit of a break, and we now need to be season ready. There's a lot more pressure on us to be ready for it because of how shortened our break was. So I don't feel it's going to be like completely relaxed it is going to have that sort of atmosphere and feel around it because it's a pre-season, but there'll be elements of seriousness within it in terms of rotation and how we play as a whole. From Maresca, he's a guy who likes to take things seriously. He, you know, like he even said in his press conference, I don't care. The club tells me when they leave. I'm just focused on setting things up so we can win the next game, and we have to continue how we finished. And I totally agree. But Enzo Maresca spoke about some injury updates, which are really quite concerning. During the press conference, Enzo Maresca revealed some breaking news. We had a problem the last 2 days about Levi Colwill. We don't know how long he will be out for. Hopefully not too long. It's a problem. We need to wait. We don't know yet. He goes on to talk about Levi Colwill by saying, depends. We need to wait. Then we'll see. In our way, we know how important he's been. I spoke with him yesterday. If we achieve what we have achieved, it's because of him. He then elaborates on the issue with Levi Colwill, and he says it was the first session on Monday. In the last minutes of the session, he felt something. Kieran Gill then reported after the press conference that Chelsea could be looking to bring in a centre-back this month if their fears are confirmed over Levi Colwill. He goes on to report that Levi Colwill has been sent for a scan last night and is awaiting results. The injury occurred towards the end of a pre-season training session on Monday, wasn't the result of a challenge. Now, firstly, this is worrying news for the Premier League season starting so soon, because Levi Colwill is an integral part of our back line, and I think we can all agree that he has improved leaps and bounds, especially in the second half of the season, and we know how good he can go on and be. We know how good he is as a player and how vital he is to an Enzo Maresca system. Now, yes, thankfully, we do have other centre-backs that can play in that role. I suspect that we'll probably see the likes of Badiashile, and we may see Jorel Hato playing in the central positions on the left-hand side, as well as left-back replacement with Cucurella. So we do have some rotation there. If all things go worse, we also have Tosin and Trevor Chalobah that can be that centre-back pairing. That is going to affect things going into the start of the season. We also have some more injury news on Wesley Fofana, which I'm going to talk about in just a second, but I'm hoping that Levi Colwill is not injured for the longest period of time. I hope it is something quick. The really important thing to note here is that he was injured and it wasn't without a challenge. It wasn't through a challenge. That's actually good news to a degree. It could also be very bad news because if he's pulled a muscle, maybe he's twisted something, maybe he's bruised something from earlier in the session from a previous challenge. If it's completely not from a challenge and he's pulled something, it could be very, very bad. Or it could just be the fact that, we've just come off of the 3-week break. We've gone back into pre-season training. I can't imagine Enzo Maresca's working him that hard, first day back type thing. But he's obviously felt something go. It could be precautionary. And we're hoping it's precautionary because it's a very key part of our defensive line. So if it was from a challenge, again, you kind of have like the instant impact of that. And then you can kind of assess the damage straight away. But when it's not from a challenge, you don't really know. You have question marks on it. So hopefully it's nothing too serious. Hopefully he can be back for either the first or second game of the season, but that is not great news going into these preseason games and being so close to the Premier League season started. So hopefully Levi Colwill can recover and it's not as serious. Enzo Maresca also spoke on Wesley Fofana. He said, Wes is back. He is training. I don't think he's ready for minutes in the next 2 games, but he can be available for the Crystal Palace game. This is fantastic news. I spoke about Wesley Fofana in yesterday's video. It might have been the day before. Every day blurs into one. But yeah, Wesley Fofana is back in training. Now, I like the transparency from Maresca saying, look, he's not going to play these preseason games. However, he could be ready for the first game of the season, that Palace game. That's a massive boost for us. He's a fantastic defender when he stays fit. And a lot of you guys are talking to me in the comments about like when did he play well last, or actually you really rate him really highly. It just needs to stay fit. Some of you want to sell him. I understand all sides of the coin, but when you really deep it when it comes to Wesley Fofana, talent-wise and sort of how well he can perform, especially in a back three, or even being that defender that kind of pushes forward a little bit with the ball at his feet. He's had some very good games in the Chelsea shirt, and I will always go back to how we started last season. Him and Levi Colwill together started off very rocky. I was very vocal about that, but I could also see that they were trying to develop a relationship between them, and these players were also developing in the Premier League. And as the weeks went on, that partnership got stronger and stronger and stronger, and you could see more and more glimpses that were less far apart of how good this partnership can be. Now, yes, again, we know how Levi Colwill has gone on to develop insanely in the last 2025 in general, and Fofana has been injured for long periods of time. We don't want to rush him back. We obviously want to make sure that he can stay fit, and we do have other defenders like Badiashile, like Tosin, like Trevor Chalobah that can fill in, even Ashrapong if he needs to play as a centre-back. Hato can obviously play as a centre-back as well. So we have cover for Fofana and Levi Colwill, but we also know that Enzo Maresca loves that pairing of Colwill and Fofana for a reason. He must see something with them, both very good on the ball, in the air, good defensive IQ. I was saying at the start of last season that there was always one or the other that were lunging forward and leaving big pockets behind us, or they were overcommitting too much. But like I said, over time, that partnership got a lot more understanding. It became very, very solid. So there's a few performances before Wesley Fofana got injured where you could really see how good this partnership would be. And it's just been a very long time since we've seen Fofana play, so there's no need to rush him back when we do have very competent centre-backs that can play in his position. But it would be very nice to see him back playing in the Premier League. Whether or not he starts the Palace game or not, I don't think so. In my personal opinion, as of right now, I think that you've got the likes of Tosin and Chalobah that start ahead of him, purely on recent form, and they're fit and they're consistent, they're in the swing of things, right? Wesley Fofana is coming back from injury, so he might get some minutes in that second half against Crystal Palace, or he might start and then get pulled off at half-time. Maresca seems to love a rotation, right? So we don't really know what way round we would do that. But it's good news that Wes is back. Bad news that Levi could potentially be out for a little longer. It's almost like one's fit, the other one isn't. So hopefully that is not something that doesn't continue, and they can both be back fit and raring to go for the Premier League season. But it's good news overall, at least in my opinion, that Wesley Fofana is back and fit, and hopefully he's ready for the Palace game. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding Levi Colwill and Wesley Fofana and the injury updates that we've got. What are your overall thoughts? Do you feel like we'll be okay without Levi Colwill? Is this going to be a massive blow, having Levi Colwill out for potentially a few months, maybe a game? Maybe it's just a little precaution and there's nothing too serious. And what are your thoughts on Wesley Fofana being back and potentially ready for the Palace game? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Enzo Maresca also spoke on Nicolas Jackson, and he says, Nico is okay. When the window is open, anything can happen. This involves Nico's situation. At the moment, the two strikers have arrived, so we will see. Now, I don't like to read into things too much, but I do like the fact that Enzo Maresca is very much upfront. He's very honest about things, and he's spot on. Chelsea in the transfer window, you do not know what is going to happen next. We are constantly trying to buy and sell players at a rapid rate. We are relentless. We don't seem to stop, especially in this window. We know the Nicolas Jackson situation. There's been conflicting reports saying that he is leaving. There's the reports saying he's staying. He wants to fight for his place. We know that the domino effect in terms of United getting Sesko, Newcastle may need a forward because Isak's going to go, more than likely to Liverpool. There is a shortage of number 9s in world football right now, and Nicolas Jackson is one of those players on that list that Chelsea value at least £75+ million. They want around £80 million for him, which is a wild amount of money. And I've mentioned this many times with Nicolas Jackson. Chelsea are in a win-win position. They don't have to sell him. They can keep him and he can go on and develop. And we've also got two strikers ahead of him anyway. So it's not like a massive concern. But if Nicolas Jackson can fight his way back to being Chelsea's starting number 9, we're laughing. Or if we sell him for mad profit at like £80 million, we're also laughing. It's a win-win, but I quite like how Enzo Maresca's handled this. He's basically saying, look, the window's open, anything can happen as Chelsea Football Club. We know Nicolas's situation. Two strikers have arrived. Look, we'll see what happens. Now, that isn't Enzo Maresca shutting anything down, saying he is a Chelsea player. He is going to be a Chelsea player from the first day of the season. I personally do not feel like Nicolas Jackson will be a Chelsea player on the first day of the season. That's just my thoughts. I would love to know your thoughts down below. Do you feel like Chelsea will actually offload Nicolas Jackson for around £80 million? Even if it's a little bit less, do you feel like Chelsea are going to offload him in this summer window? Or do you think that Chelsea are going to keep him because he's so integral to how Enzo Maresca plays his system across the whole season? Do you feel like he's got a place in the squad where he's going to be rotated with Delap and João Pedro throughout the season? Is he going to be your cup competition striker? Or is Chelsea going to get rid of him? I personally don't see him staying at Chelsea in this window if Chelsea can make mad profit while every player is going for inflated prices. Newcastle, again, it's a domino effect. Newcastle have lost out on pretty much all of their targets. It would be funny that if Nicolas Jackson is the only target in the summer that actually go, yeah, all right, we'll do that move, considering who they've been linked with and who have actually said no. Newcastle are also in for Wissa as well, but that's been dragging on for a long, long time, so we'll soon see if that goes through. But I just thought it was very interesting. Maresca's just very open and honest. He's not said he's out. He's not said he's definitely staying. He's just saying, we know the situation, we'll see what happens. So I respect that, but I'd love to know your thoughts down below. The Times Sport have reported there has been interest from Wolves in Datro Fofana. Now, I'm going to be honest, this is a player I forget who's in the squad. And that's not me being disrespectful to Fofana, because I remember when he arrived and he played that game, I think it was like a half or whatever, he played very, very well, but you could tell he was raw. And he got us excited because we thought, we've got a real player here, a real gem. And since then, he's gone on loan. He then got injured while he was on his loan. His loan was terminated very early because of that injury. He's been back at Cobham. Not really seen his name mentioned very often. Not really seen him in many pictures or anything like that. And obviously, Chelsea will be looking to offload many players as they can this summer and recoup as much money as possible. We've done very well so far, but Datro Fofana has been a name that's kind of been floating around. Like, he is for sale, but he's not included on everyone's list that they're saying these are the list of players for sale. However, I would personally like to keep Fofana, even if we send him on loan, like keep him as a Chelsea player, because he's such a good footballer and he just needs development. He's just raw, but we liked his power, his aggression. Obviously, his finishing needs to be refined, but he shows everything that you need in a Chelsea forward in just that very glimpse, like a small glimpse of minutes he got in a Chelsea shirt. But at the same time, if Chelsea can make a profit, they will. So I just find it very interesting that potentially the Premier League could be littered with Chelsea players. Broja, Datro Fofana, potentially Nkunku if he stays in the Premier League, Jackson if he goes to the Premier League, Madueke. Like, the Premier League could just be littered, Petrovic, with just loads of Chelsea players we look to offload this summer. I think Wolves would be a very good move for Fofana, if I'm being honest. I think it'll be a very good move, because I think, did he actually went on loan to Burnley, I believe, last season or season before? And he did all right, scored a couple of goals. I believe it was Burnley. I know they played in Claret. Please let me know in the comments. I think it was Burnley. But he played well. He had a good loan spell. And then obviously he went abroad this season on loan. And again, like I said, it was cut short because of his injury, which is unfortunate. But I would just love to know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding Datro Fofana. Would you offload him to a club like Wolves? Do you think that Chelsea should be selling him permanently? Or would you much rather Chelsea keep him and then loan him out so he's still a Chelsea player, just to see how his development goes for the next few seasons? I'm very curious to know your thoughts, because if you do want to sell him, how much could we get for Fofana? Alex Crook and Ben Jacobs have reported breaking news. Chelsea open talks with United over signing Alejandro Garnacho. Ben Jacobs then continues to say that Manchester United are seeking in excess of £40 million, but Chelsea feel the price for Garnacho will drop should Benjamin Sesko's move be completed. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about Garnacho because you guys really do not like it, and I respect that. That's fine. There are a lot of you in the comments who actually want this move to happen, and again, I respect that. That's fine. This is just a brief update before we go into predicting Chelsea's starting 11 to face Bayern Leverkusen. One thing I will say is, I've said this many times, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I feel like Chelsea are really going to drag this out until the window is basically, that window is so close to shut-in that Man United are forced to sell at a cutthroat price, because I don't see Chelsea paying £40 million. We want to spend maximum of £30 million. United, there's a £10 million differentiation. Yeah. So that wasn't even English. There's a £10 million differentiation. Yeah, difference. There's a £10 million difference. And I don't see Man United... Well, actually, I can see Man United buckling. I can't see Chelsea stepping up and paying that £40 million. I feel like we have a long-term interest. This is a Winstanley transfer. This is a player that he wants specifically. He's been after him for a long time. He's going to be pursuing him. I don't feel that we will go up to £40 million. I honestly feel like a loan with an obligation to buy may be a last resort for Manchester United before the transfer window shuts, because I don't see Chelsea paying £40 million. I don't see Man United letting him go for £30 million just to get him off the books. But they might do the whole try before you buy, like we did with Jadon Sancho, if we can't find a valuation, because it's been reported that Garnacho has turned down offers from Italy and other clubs around Europe, even Premier League clubs. But I've not really seen many reports coming out saying that they're actively going after Garnacho. That's just me. I mean, I'm not hunting through every report regarding Garnacho. But nothing's really popped up. He is obviously a hot topic in terms of the briefings and reports and things, in terms of Chelsea being interested. But I don't know. I feel like if Chelsea don't do anything about it, Garnacho is just going to be stuck at United for another year. United want him off the books. He doesn't want to be there as a player. So something's going to happen, and I feel like he will be a Chelsea player by the end of the window, essentially the start of the season, a few games in, when the window shuts in September. I can see it happening. I can't predict what it's going to be. Are Chelsea going to outright buy him? Because if we buy him for 30 million and he don't work in the next few seasons, we can definitely flip him for profit, or at least get the same money back like we did with KDH. Right? I feel like that's more than achievable with a player like Garnacho. And he is a very talented player. There's no denying that he is a talented player. He's just not consistent enough, and we know that his attitude and his ego is something. He needs a bit of direction, a bit of guidance, and I feel like we can do that at Chelsea. Enzo Maresca has got a very good record so far, bringing the best out of players. His track record is last season and how he's done that with players and developing this mentality with Willie Easter and everyone else around the club. And if you add a player like Garnacho with his talent in that, and it blossoms, unbelievable world beater. If it doesn't work, that's when we've got an issue. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens. What do you think that Chelsea will do? Will Chelsea go buy him on a permanent for £40 million? Will we be lucky enough to get him on £30 million, like £10 million difference lower? Or would you much rather a loan with an obligation to buy or a fine to send him back? Let me know your thoughts down below. And that's all the latest Chelsea news. Let's get into predicting Chelsea's starting 11 to face Bayer Leverkusen in our first pre-season friendly. So let's predict this starting 11 to face Bayer Leverkusen in our first pre-season friendly. And taking into account what Enzo Maresca has said in his press conference, I feel like the goalkeeping position could go either way. If Maresca is going to look at this pre-season as a serious game and be like, we need to be ready for the season, I feel like Sanchez could be starting. However, he did say he's going to be sharing minutes. So I'm actually expecting Jorgensen to start in goal, you know. I feel like Jorgensen may start in goal because it might just give any of them starting players for the first game of the season just that extra bit of rest that they potentially may need. So I'm going to go with Jorgensen in the sticks. We know his distribution is fantastic and he just needs a bit more confidence. He is a good shot stopper, but in terms of shot-stopping ability between Sanchez and Jorgensen, I feel like Sanchez edges it. It's just the distribution that's a major factor between them, at least in my opinion. But moving on to the left-back, I'm going to start with Marc Cucurella. I know I just said about, resting the first team players and giving them as much rest as possible. However, Maresca did say that Hato is, starting early. He's very new. He does need time to adapt. We're going to be sharing minutes, so I can feel like he will get a substitute appearance. Maybe he starts the next preseason game against Milan. I don't know, but I feel like we're going to see a rotation there. Now, when it comes to the two centre-backs, we have no Wesley Fofana, we have no Levi Colwill. And I personally feel like on that left-hand side, we will more than likely see Badiashile. I feel like Badiashile is the like-for-like replacement for Levi Colwill as a left-sided centre-back. I mean, again, this is pre-season. This could be wildly wrong. I'd love to know your predictions down below as well, who you feel is going to play. Because like I said, with pre-season, anything can happen. But I feel like, I was going to say Benzema. Yes, Benzema playing centre-back. Badiashile playing left centre-back makes a lot of sense in terms of like-for-like. We could see Hato get some minutes there. We could see Tosin or Chalobah playing there. But I feel like Badiashile will start there. And partnering him on that right-hand side, I feel like we are going to see Chalobah. I feel like he is going to be the option there. 100%. Again, we could see Tosin. But I feel like the rotation there is you could take either one of Badiashile and Chalobah off to then put Tosin on, or bring on Hato for the other one if you want to rotate them at half-time. Depending if Enzo Maresca wants to rotate the defence heavily or just the fullbacks, right? Or even the goalkeeper, he might just stick with one for the whole 90. It's just going to be very interesting to see what Maresca does in this pre-season. He could also just set up our strongest 11 of how we're going to play against Crystal Palace, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of variety in giving people minutes, considering we have the Club World Cup and a minimal rest. And he's going to be focused on that first game of the season. So, right back, I'm actually going to go with Ashimpong. I feel like he is going to get some minutes because it's a pre-season game. Ashimpong, there he is. I feel like he's going to start the game. I feel like Reece James obviously will be there and he will definitely get minutes. I feel like Ashimpong may start this game at right back. Just again, get some minutes, rotation, and then obviously we can bring on Reece James and just give Reece James, we are still wrapping him in bubble wrap a little bit. He's playing a lot more games, don't get me wrong. He had one of the longest stretches of fitness last season due to Enzo Maresca's man management and the minute management. But I feel like Josh deserves a chance. We haven't got Conference League to play him in this season, so I feel like he'll play cup competitions and he'll be a natural rotation. Obviously, that means Gusto and Reece James will be on the bench. But again, I just feel like Josh needs to get a few more minutes, and pre-season is a perfect time to show that. Starting off in the holding six roles, I actually feel like we're going to get Asugo. I feel like Asugo is going to... Dario Asugo will play. Again, giving Caicedo that rest. Giving him that extra minutes, that extra 45 minutes. And a lot of people may say that the players don't need rest. They've just had 3 weeks off, and I totally get that. But I also feel like we've got this game to rotate loads of players. We've also got the AC Milan game to rotate a load of players. And then that's it. It's then training. The Premier League starts. So I feel like he's not going to go super hard. I feel like we could start with Dario Asugo in that 6th role. And accompanying him, I also feel you could see Andre Santos. I think we see Andre Santos. I can't spell Andre, which is quite embarrassing. Andre Santos. There he is. He's still in Strasbourg on lineup builder. That's crazy. I feel like we could see Dario Asugo and Andre Santos play, or at least starting the game in those 6 roles. Because again, it's just about that rotation of minutes for me. Obviously, we know we've got Enzo and Caicedo. They're more than likely going to come on. Pre-season, you can basically swap the whole team at halftime if you want to. So just a bit of fun, really. But I feel like Asugo and Santos would be a really good pairing to see how well they do against a team like AC Milan, who are a lot deeper into their pre-season tournaments and stuff like that. So I'm going to go with Andre Santos because, again, he's going to drift into or push forward into that advanced 8, second 10 role. But, yeah, that's what I feel. On the left-hand side, obviously, everyone wants to see Jamie Gittins play. Will he start? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say Jamie Gittins starts because he has been training for, well, ready to. He didn't play the Club World Cup. He's rested, but he's been training in the meantime. Obviously, he's been up with the team at Cobham since the 4th, like everyone else. So I feel like Gittins potentially could start. Obviously, on that left-hand side, we don't know what's happening with Tyreek George, whether he's gone on loan or it's going to be a permanent. I would say give George the minutes, but again, this close to potential move away, probably not going to play, just as a precaution. So I feel like Gittins is going to play on that left-hand side. In the number 10 role, I feel like we are going to see Cole Palmer. We just are going to see Cole Palmer. We've got people going and paying to watch us at Stamford Bridge. He's obviously going to need some key players within this system as well. So Palmer's going to play for sure. He always plays. And on the right-hand side, I feel like we are going to go see Pedro Neto, at least to start, because again, we can rotate. And I feel, as Enzo Maresca said, as much as we want to see Estevao, I don't see him starting the game, but he will definitely come on in that second half and get a full half of football for sure. I feel like he's going to start with Pedro Neto, at least in my opinion. Like I said, I'd love to know your thoughts down below regarding your lineup as well. And then when it comes to the number 9, this is where it gets interesting. Does he play Nicolas Jackson because he's third choice technically on current form? Does he play João Pedro? Because again, played very, very well in the Club World Cup. Or does he give it to Liam Delap because that is the number 9 we are looking to use more consistently in the Premier League? Now, I've thought about this for a while, and I feel like you can't really lose either way, right? You could put João Pedro on the left instead of Gittins. Now, obviously, João Pedro's had some game time in a Chelsea shirt, so it's a bit more stable in that sense, whereas Gittins is still relatively new, yet to make his Chelsea debut. You could play Nicolas Jackson and give Delap a bit more rest and bring him on in the second half. We've seen that rotation quite often through the Club World Cup when Nicolas Jackson isn't getting sent off. I'm actually going to go Liam Delap. I feel like he will actually start because I feel like Enzo Maresca wants to use him as the main number 9, at least in my opinion. He'll be the main number 9 for Chelsea across the Premier League season, obviously in rotation with João Pedro, and whatever happens with Jackson, whether he stays or goes. But obviously Pedro can play as a 10, he can play on the left. Obviously we're waiting on the here we go for Xavi Simons, who can play as a 10 on the left, on the right. We've got Neto, who could play either side. We've got, there's just loads of versatility in that front four, and we're stacked. So that is who I predict will start the game at least against Bayer Leverkusen. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. What do you think about this lineup? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Who would you have instead? Very curious to know your thoughts. So that's all the latest Chelsea news and the predicted starting lineup. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported and the starting lineup. Do you agree or disagree? Down below in the comment section. I love having a conversation with you guys. And if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one. And I mean that. You're a real one. But secondly, there'll be a thumbnail appears on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.